Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out SledgeHammer TV tonight. It is Monday night, January the 29th, 2018, and we had a new road to Wrestlemania begin with its first stop on Monday Night Raw tonight. We had new graphics, we had a new announce team, but we had the same old Monday Night Raw garbage heap, and we're going to talk about it right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising podcast in all of YouTube, baby. It's Elias's night, right here on the SledgeHammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
SledgeHammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. Along with me, as always, is my trusty companion, my loyal tag team partner, and the World Heavyweight Champion of Microphones, Blue the Snowball. And tonight was the first official stop as we begin the real road to WrestleMania on the Raw after the Royal Rumble. And following last night's show, I was actually greatly looking forward to tonight's Monday Night Raw, only because I needed a bunch of questions answered. Did I get any of those answers tonight? Not really. I was looking forward to seeing some sort of an explanation with the Ronda Rousey situation, maybe see her used in some sort of capacity, not just use her to overshadow the Women's Royal Rumble, and then not even make an appearance on the Raw after. Terrible. Terrible. This show had a few good moments. It had two good matches. And outside of that, everything else was just the same old stuff. Same old shit. First time ever. That's going to be 2018's theme, I believe. First time ever. John Cena versus Finn Balor. Wasted. The main event of Raw tonight essentially kind of killed the whole vibe of the show for me. I was kind of feeling the show for the most part. I mean, we had a throwaway tag team match. We had a couple of qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber, which is coming at us in 4 weeks. And as the show began, I thought, hey, you know, we might actually get a good show. We're going to start to build towards the Elimination Chamber. We're not just going to have people placed by Raw GM General Manager Kurt Angle. People are going to earn their spot. I like that. I like that decision. And I like the matchups that we got tonight. We got 3 of those 6 matches announced tonight and taking place tonight. Some pretty good pairings, but the first time ever, John Cena, Finn Balor absolutely took the wind out of any positivity you could have taken out of this show. You know, when they announced this match, my very first thought was, wow, what a great spot to have Finn in right now. The main event of Monday Night Raw following a tremendous performance in the Royal Rumble, which should be rewarded since he didn't win, going up against John Cena for this shot at the Elimination Chamber, which John Cena doesn't need to win. He doesn't even need to be in. John Cena's, I need to get to WrestleMania somehow. You're John Cena. Just challenge somebody. You don't need to take up a spot in an Elimination Chamber that's headed towards the Universal Championship if you win, because that's not your path, bro. That's not where you need to be going. That's not the story that we should be telling with John Cena. Every single minute that passed throughout that main event match tonight that I did not hear the gong of The Undertaker go off to set up his match with John Cena to be his final match ever at WrestleMania 34, the site of his greatest defeat, to go up against the one man he's never faced even in the twilight of his career, coming back from that match with Roman, that nobody wants that to be the last thing you remember when you think of The Undertaker. There was a tremendous missed opportunity right there. Imagine you were watching Raw tonight and the lights went out and the gong went off right in the middle of that match. The lights went back up and The Undertaker standing in the middle of the ring. He choke slams John Cena. Attacks John Cena. Sets up his I need to get to WrestleMania somehow. There you go. You're going to WrestleMania, kid. The Undertaker wants one more round with the greatest performer of this generation. Get out of here. He's the greatest salesman. He's the greatest marketer of this generation. He's the greatest kiss ass of this generation. He's the greatest company man you will ever see. The greatest performer in this generation, Michael Cole, belongs to AJ Styles. You could take that to the bank. Sasha Banks versus Asuka took place tonight, and I'm a little disappointed in the fact that it took place tonight. Granted, we had a tremendous match. This was definitely Asuka's best match since being put on the main roster. It has been her greatest test to date. And Sasha Banks continues to prove why I believe Vince McMahon doesn't really care for Sasha Banks as a performer, because every time you watch Sasha Banks wrestle, she almost dies. We've seen that tonight during that suicide dive between the ropes where she almost compacted her head clear through her shoulders while she hit head first into the concrete. She didn't clear the ropes. Her body grazed the middle rope. Her feet caught the end and she went face first into the side of the ring and then head first into the concrete. Nice job, Miss Banks. I hope you're okay. You don't need to do stuff like that. You don't. Leave that to the cruiserweights. Unnecessary spot that could have absolutely killed this girl. Nobody's fault but her own. I'm sure that's something she wanted to do. She loves Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. These are her influences. She wants to wrestle like these guys. But God damn it, Sasha. Relax. Save those. You don't need to do those things on a Monday Night Raw. I digress. The match itself was pretty decent. The match was very, very decent. And thankfully, Asuka won. You know, and I said this about the Roman Reigns match last night. You know, it gives you... I'm sorry, not the Roman Reigns match. I forgot what match it was. But on the review last night, I said, when a match gives you that tension... Oh, it was the end of the Royal Rumble. It was Roman Reigns. When you have that feeling inside you, where your nerves are just all balled up, and you just are not sure if your guy's going to win. There were many moments in this match where I thought for sure they were going to kill everything and give the win to Sasha Banks. Thankfully, that was not the case, and we had a legit match between these two girls, and Asuka came out the victor. Asuka looked like a supreme badass. Sasha Banks, despite her botchy performance, had a very, very good showing against the Empress of Tomorrow, leaving Sasha with a tear in her eye as she laid on the mat looking up at the lights, and you saw the tears rolling down the side of her face. And I don't know, hopefully that's not because she was in pain and she was hiding it, and hopefully it was just because she was, emotional having to have that match with Asuka on Monday Night Raw with everything's going on. It was a big weekend for the women, sis boom bye, yada yada yada, women's wrestling, right? But why was this happening on Monday Night Raw tonight? Why not allow Sasha Banks to work and maneuver this new attitude, right? Let's let this get going. Let's get this over. Give her a few weeks to really become the boss again. The Sasha Banks we all know and love. The one that will take the WWE by storm. The one that you would believe could take Asuka to the limit, like we kind of saw tonight. This match was all built up based off of the fact that Sasha Banks caught a little attitude in the Royal Rumble last night. So now imagine if we built off of that instead of just jumping the gun and going, all right, Sasha says she's ready for Asuka, let's do it tonight. No real build behind it. No advertising to it. Nothing. Just, here you go. Free TV. Not for pay-per-view. No build. No anticipation. No excitement to it. Just, here you go. Up on a platter. These are the kind of things that annoy me. This is a marquee match that is being given away at an improper time, which is just what the WWE does. They got me so annoyed tonight that you could hear I'm all kind of flustery because the decision making, just like last night when we were talking about the order of the Royal Rumble and the matchups, like the decision making is just off. It's off. The ideas are there. The effort is there. You could see that they're trying to start off this road to WrestleMania in a positive way. And they definitely aligned some things to kind of do that, but then the execution is poor. Just like John Cena winning in that main event tonight. That match with Asuka and Sasha Banks should not have happened tonight. As good as it was. It could have been a 5-star classic. It shouldn't have happened tonight. Shouldn't have happened tonight. Just because Stefanie McMahon said okay. Instead of announcing the first ever Elimination Chamber, which shouldn't be happening for women. It shouldn't be happening for women. I was okay with the Royal Rumble. I wasn't too down on it. This one, this is not good. This is not good. Do you know why? The Elimination Chamber is a structure that was conceived by Eric Bischoff. It was known as Satan's structure. It is meant to be a grueling, bloody, just absolute terrible nightmare of a match. This match was conceived after the Hell in a Cell. So effectively, this match is worse than what many consider to be the worst match you could have in the WWE as a competitor. Nobody leaves the Hell in a Cell the same. Nobody leaves the chamber the same either. You want to see Sasha Banks and Bayley grating each other's face up against steel? Throwing each other through plexiglass pylons? Diving off of steel structures? After what we saw from Sasha Banks tonight, you want to see her in an Elimination Chamber? Twist her friggin' leg right off between one of the friggin' chamber links? Just for the sake of doing it? Now is not the time, never is the time for an Elimination Chamber match. I'm all for women's equality. You guys all know that. I love my women's wrestling. I do not love putting women in a situation where they can get seriously hurt. This is not just a wrestling match. This isn't just, oh, let's do what the men can do. This is serious business. If you're going to do it right. And if you're just going to have a wrestling match surrounded by the Elimination Chamber, then what the fuck is the point? How good did the Hell in a Cell go? Everybody wanted to, oh, first time ever, Charlotte and Sasha, Hell in a Cell. How good was that? How good did that go? These girls couldn't even break a table. You want to put them in the Elimination Chamber. How many times are they going to throw Alexa Bliss into the plastic glass before it finally shatters? 200 times because she weighs about 5 pounds, soaking wet? First ever Elimination Chamber for women is an absolute disgrace. It's a disgrace. How is that not considered abusive to women? I don't understand. You're putting them in an environment where they're definitely going to get hurt. Yes, they're professional athletes, but you don't train for an Elimination Chamber. This is a once-in-a-lifetime type of thing. Just because the WWE chose to make it an annual, yearly bullshit pay-per-view, which is also a mistake. I like the idea of the Chamber setting up the opposing brand's road to WrestleMania if you don't win the Royal Rumble, but essentially the Elimination Chamber should only be pulled out when it is called for, when there is a situation that needs to be ultimately settled, 6 men going after one title because there is no way to keep them all apart. This match was made up when you had guys on the roster like Rob Van Dam, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, Kane in his prime, Booker T, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. Now you're talking about Elias, Braun Strowman, John Cena. Just isn't the same level of talent. Cena maybe I'll give the edge to just because he's been doing it for so damn long at such a top level. But these other guys don't need to be in an elimination chamber. You know Roman's going in the chamber and you know he's going to win. So why is Braun Strowman in there? Is The Miz going to end up in the elimination chamber even though he is the Intercontinental Champion and should be defending the championship at the elimination chamber against Braun Strowman? The show doesn't make sense when you look at it the way I look at it. When I say these things to you, am I clearing cobwebs from your head? Are you going, wow, I didn't think of that? Because this is what I see. This is what I see. First ever elimination chamber for women. What 6 women are going in there? The only 6 women on the roster? Obviously, Asuka's not going to be on it. In it, rather. I'm sorry. You got Alexa automatically going in there. You're going to have her best friend, Nia Jax, in there, throwing her around the steel, body slamming her onto steel grating, and you think it's going to come off good? Who are you going to put in there? Sasha? Bayley? Dana Brooke? Who's number 6? Who am I forgetting? I don't even know, because the women's roster is empty. Mickie James. You want to see Mickie James in Elimination Chamber? This is going to sell you. First ever. Who cares? It's a bad idea. It's a dangerous idea. Somebody's going to get hurt. I don't want to see these women killing each other in an elimination chamber. I didn't want to see it with the cell. I didn't barely even want to see women in a steel cage. It's just not called for. You want to give me a rivalry like Trish and Lita? Years and years of going at each other, trading title belts, settling the feud once and for all. Maybe I'll give in. You want to throw a steel cage for Natty and Charlotte because they've been wrestling for 3 months at a Starrcade that nobody's going to see unless you go and buy the ticket to see it live, and if you're fortunate enough to live in North Carolina. First time ever, right? What's the point? What's the point? Why can't the other show just build an angle? We don't need a catalyst like the Elimination Chamber when it comes to the women's division. What's next? You're going to have the first time ever Judy Bagwell on a forklift match for the women's division? She's a grandma now, probably. Get the hell out of here. Coal miner's glove on the pole? First time ever. What's next? In the Inferno match? Buried alive? All things that should not be done in the women's division. Not because it's something that only men can do, but because it's in bad taste. Who wants to see beautiful women killing each other like that? Wrestling is an art form, and these women do it better than any women I've seen throughout my 30 years on the planet. If the WWE would just allow them to do that, and not give them 6-woman tag team matchups, and build the women within the division, you wouldn't have to try to get a cheap pop to get people interested in the women's division by having an unnecessary elimination chamber where somebody's going to get hurt. And you're going to regret it. All for Stephanie McMahon to make another announcement, right? That's really what it was all about. All for Stephanie to make another announcement. Old Mother Hubbard. godmother of the women's division. Get out of here. Show kicked off with the killing of Kane, which is alright by me. At first, they announced the last man standing match as a qualifier for the Elimination Chamber, Braun Strowman versus Kane. And I was just like, come on, how many fucking times do I have to see this? But it turned out alright. We had an insane spot that was never seen before and will never be seen again. Guaranteed. Braun Strowman and Kane, last man standing, would find their way up towards the entrance ramp. Braun Strowman would gain the advantage. Kane finds himself on the floor outside in front of where the announce table stands. Braun Strowman flipped the stage. Not just the table and the chairs where, they were all sitting. The stage in which everything rested upon. So he flipped the stage and the table and chairs went with it. Absolutely unbelievable. Kane should be dead, right? If this was real life, Kane would be dead. And then Michael Cole botches the announcement telling everybody, Kane was definitively, he was taken to an emergency medical center nearby where he is being treated for whatever, as if he had definitive, conclusive information. And then they cut to a scene in the back because the guy hasn't left the arena yet. How did that happen? And then he had to go back and correct himself. Well, like I said, Kane is currently being taken. That's not what you said. You said he was there, and you gave us the results of the analysis. Unbelievable. But I was okay with it. I was alright with it. Like I said, for the most part, I was okay with what was going on. It wasn't fantastic, but I expected something huge at the end to put the cherry on top of this, but it ended up just melting in my lap. Instead of being a beautiful, delicious sundae, it just became a big, hot mess in my lap, thanks to the finale of this show. Excuse me. And, by the way, I guess that triple threat we had last night, where these guys were going at each other like King Kong versus Godzilla versus whoever, obviously it didn't have a lasting effect on these guys. So I totally expect to see Kane next week. Especially that they wanted to make an announcement as if they were narrating a horror movie. Kane woke up in the emergency room. We've just been notified. We just got the script over here. Vince just gave us this paper to read. Yeah, Kane has been woken up. He sat up. They had to make sure they said that. He sat up, looked around, and got off his bed and crawled out of the emergency room. Never to be seen again. Nobody knows Kane's whereabouts. So don't be surprised if he pops up next week or maybe finds his way into this Elimination Chamber somehow during the match. Because obviously, if we learn from anything we watched last night, nothing that happens to you matters anymore. You got the 2 stars from NXT last night that got their ass whooped on Saturday. Ember Moon and Adam Cole, respectively, came to the ring wearing tape because they got their asses kicked. They needed to sell the fact that they were hurt the night before. Where was Braun Strowman's rib tape, arm tape, soft cast, Band-Aid, anything? These guys were going through tables, hitting each other with steel steps. Brock Lesnar was on the show. He sold the show the best. He sold his injuries the best because he didn't show up tonight. Kane was there. No boo-boos. No boo-boos for Braun. There'll be no boo-boos for Kane. Hopefully we never see him again until they call his number for the Hall of Fame. And that'll be a wrap on the Big Red Machine's Big Red Nightmare for me. Interesting thing happened in the back that I like. Braun Strowman bumps into Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle's like, what are you doing, man? Why don't you give me a break? Why don't you stop killing everybody, right? Braun Strowman gets in his face and he's like, I'm going to kill people. You're right. I didn't do it enough. I'm going to do more. You wanted me to be the last man standing. You made that match, and that's what I did. I'm the last man standing. I'm going to be the last man standing in the Elimination Chamber, and then I'm going to be the last man standing at WrestleMania over the carcass of Brock Lesnar. Fantastic promo by Braun Strowman. But Braun Strowman is not going to win the Elimination Chamber. If he does, I will be shocked. I will be shocked as shit. Because we all know that spot is going to the big dog. Blech. I don't know why I even called him that. It's like giving him respect that I don't want to give him. Elimination Chamber qualifying match number 2. Elias versus Woken Matt Hardy. Elias came out, sang a great song. It's Elias's night. Everybody. I was definitely into it. I walked out of my room playing my guitar because my wife hates him. Absolutely hates him. And I walked out of my room playing the song on my guitar just to annoy her the way Elias does it, just to annoy the WWE Universe, and it works to perfection. The guy knows what he's doing. Elias and Woken Matt had a great match. Just from the basic observation of it, it wasn't anything more than we seen when Elias took on Matt Hardy before he was Woken Matt. It was essentially the same match, but the story of this match was not either competitor, was the fact that Bray Wyatt would have his little, video screen distract Matt Hardy, causing Elias to be able to gain the advantage, hit the drift away, and gain the victory, landing him in the Elimination Chamber, which he too will not be winning, unfortunately. And Bray Wyatt would come back on the screen laughing like a madman at Matt Hardy as he was seething with anger in the ring. I did not mind this. I liked it. It's setting up the Bray Wyatt thing. Following that encounter on Twitter, Woken Matt, said that he's going to end Bray Wyatt and it is time for him to experience the final deletion. So hopefully we are finally going to be getting what we've been looking for from this duo, which is some off-screen antics and some crazy, crazy stuff. Because I don't think anyone will be able to do it better, especially given both talents and the way they tend to go just a little overboard. And I think it'll be fantastic. It's going to be way better than the House of Horrors. Anything they do will be way better than that. So I'm looking forward to that. Elias, I'm sorry you're not winning the Elimination Chamber. At least you got the win in this encounter. Hopefully, the sky's the limit for him as well. I was hoping for him to have a better debut in the Royal Rumble, but that didn't happen either. Although, I still want to walk with Elias. We have the Intercontinental Championship rematch. The Miz versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns invokes his rematch clause 7 days after losing the title. Once again, this is one of those situations where I thought this is just inevitable. Roman's going to get the title back right now, and I was already mad, and I was wondering and questioning why they would give it to Miz in such a short amount of time. And then, much to my surprise, the Miz would end up winning this match. Not clean, but he would get the pin on Roman Reigns after the Miztourage would rear their ugly heads and cause a distraction and get the big dog off his game and get skull crushed. Finale. And I don't see this feud going on any longer. Roman Reigns next week's going to have his qualifying match for sure. And his road to the Universal Championship will begin, and he will leave the Intercontinental Championship far behind him. And the only question that really remains is what's next for The Miz? Who is next for The Miz? And that is what I'm interested in seeing. And I'm just hoping that he does not end up in the Elimination Chamber. Nothing against The Miz. It's just if you're the champ, be the champ, defend the belt, do your thing. You don't need to be in the Elimination Chamber trying to get to Brock Lesnar, who you have absolutely zero chance against. So stop it. Stay in your lane, know your role, and shut your mouth. Actually, don't, because that's the best thing you do. The Revival versus Rhino and Heath Slater. This is that throwaway tag team match I was talking about. The Revival just gets a very quick glorified squash match in this scenario. Rhino's very over because they're in Philadelphia. EC dub chants, throughout the night. But this match was inconsequential and had absolutely no point except for the fact to get the Revival a win, which I'm alright with. Especially coming off of that Raw 25 debacle. Let's start building these guys back up because they are too good to waste. Absolutely. Rhino and Slater are just a waste. This is an experiment that happened, that they pulled the trigger on, and then fizzled out very quickly, and the WWE's just hanging on because they don't know what else to do with these two guys. Heath Slater's got kids, man. Let's figure something out for this guy. It's got to be something more that you could do with this team than what you're doing. Rhino's apparently pumping them up, trying to toughen them up, right? But why don't we ever see any of that? I don't care if it's on YouTube or someplace like that. Put it on the show. 2-minute, little segment. Show Rhino training Heath Slater. Get the people, get the audience invested in the team. Not everybody goes on YouTube or follows WWE.com or does any of that. Some people just watch Raw. And that's why you're failing too. You think just because you tell them to go to WWE.com to see more, they're going to take time out of their busy schedule to do that? You're lucky enough they sat here for 3 hours to watch this. You want to encourage people to go watch more. Maybe if you gave them something good to watch, they would watch in droves, 100 times more. Quality over quantity. It's not what we get on Monday Night Raw. The Revival's match is proof of that. The Revival after that match made mention of the Graham brothers. And I found it very amusing that Charlie Caruso did not know who the Graham brothers were. Were you surprised that she didn't know? I'm not surprised. These guys are your grandparents' wrestlers. Your grandpa knows who they are. Go ask Grandpa. Hey, Grandpa Fred, who were the Graham brothers? Oh, I remember. Eddie Graham, yeah, and Dr. Jerry Graham. I remember these guys. They were a great tag team in the 50s. Of course Charlie Caruso ain't gonna know. She don't even know tag teams from the 90s. I don't even think she was born in the 90s. Oh, I'm not familiar with that. Of course you're not. I don't even think she knows the tag teams that are on the roster right now. She's gonna know who the Graham brothers are. Nobody in the crowd even knew who the Graham brothers are. The Graham brothers are a Florida thing. If you did that spot in Orlando, you would have got a huge pop when you said the name Graham. That's where they were based out of, for the most part, when they weren't wrestling for Vince Sr. in the WWF. But I found it amusing. I just found it amusing. And not surprising, but amusing. Speaking of classic great tag teams, the Dudleys were announced to be joining the Hall of Fame alongside Bill Goldberg in this year's 2018 class. Congratulations to Team 3D. Absolutely, hands down, my generation, the 90s and beyond, the greatest tag team on the planet, of the decade, of the century, whatever you want to say. The most decorated, most celebrated, one of the most over and popular teams ever to step foot inside a square circle. The Dudley Boys are the real deal. Their origins are stuff of legend, from being just two nobodies in a stable of Dudleys that were essentially outshined by everybody else's character. But when the Dudleys, the pairing of Devon and Bubba, got in the ring, there was no denying that they were the feature attraction of the Dudley Boys. Vince McMahon knew it. He plucked them right out of there, and the rest is history. Multiple time tag team champions all over the world. Welcome, my friends, to the WWE Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Congratulations. Asuka versus Sasha, we talked about that scary suicide dive and Sasha laying in tears. Still think it was a little too soon for this match, and with how good this match was, can you imagine how much better it would have been with a couple of weeks of story behind it? Put a little gas underneath the fire before you let it explode. Maybe give these girls some time to work on something. instead of just giving them something 24 hours after planting a seed. You planted the seed 24 hours ago, and now tonight we got the full-burned tree. It grew up, it blossomed, and burned down. This could be the start of a good rivalry. But it's not, because Asuka's on her way to WrestleMania. Think Sasha Banks is going to walk out of the first ever women's elimination chamber with the championship? That's for Ronda Rousey to do. And that is a whole nother show for me to go off on. And I'm sure that's going to happen in the future. If I were a betting man, I would take whatever I could spare and put it on Ronda Rousey to win the championship at the Elimination Chamber. Mark my words. Titus Worldwide, brought to you by Pornhub, versus the new tag team champions, The Bar. Titus Worldwide have beaten The Bar twice in a row on Raw this month, which is what prompted Raw General Manager to grant them this chance at the Tag Team Championships tonight. Logic. So you can't complain, regardless how you feel about Titus Worldwide. All kidding aside, Titus Worldwide, especially Apollo Crews, was very, very good tonight in the ring. They were impressive. They seemed like a team. They seemed to be gelling. I hate Dana Brooke on the outside. She just makes it seem X-rated for some reason. Just her mere presence. I just feel like the porn music's going to start. And then these two guys are going to go to town on this little sausage factory known as Dana Brooke. I just can't. I can't get it out of my head. I don't know why. That's what I see. And I hope I didn't just ruin it for you. But that's what I see. Brazzers Worldwide. Fuck out of here. But they were impressive. Apollo Crews is absolutely great. His sequences tonight with Cesaro made me think immediately that Apollo Crews versus Cesaro would be a fantastic singles feud. Especially if you want to dangle the Intercontinental belt over the two of them. I think these two guys would be stellar opponents. And it would put over the Intercontinental Championship. It would make it look like the belt it's supposed to look like. Not like an ornament piece or a set piece, a prop on the shoulder of the A-lister, The Miz. Although I'd rather it there than on Roman Reigns. The Bar would go on to retain their championship, much to nobody's surprise. I was surprised that Titus Worldwide had this opportunity tonight, but in the end, it didn't matter. White noise combo, whatever they call that finisher that they do, I don't remember off the top of my head right now. The Bar retains their World Tag Team Championships. They wanted to talk about Ronda again. We had to wait all the way till the end of Raw. I assumed this girl was going to come out, but instead we just got a highlight package of last night where we got to see her in Roddy Piper's jacket, which is 10 times too big for her. She looks like your little sister wearing your jacket. She looks completely out of place, like a little girl wearing a grown man's jacket, standing in front of Charlotte Flair and Asuka and Alexa Bliss, awkwardly pointing and smiling. So now I had to see all this again. The one thing of the Rumble that just absolutely just killed the whole night for me. We're going to highlight this in a positive way. We're going to show you her pointy pictures, right? Look at her so happy. Dimples. The baddest woman on the planet. Right? The toughest chick in UFC. Former UFC champion. MMA badass. I'm in my uncle's coat. This show would end, again, like we talked about. Cena, Balor, no Undertaker showing up to challenge Cena for WrestleMania. Finn Balor not rewarded for his tremendous performance last night in the Royal Rumble. Finn Balor needs to be in the Elimination Chamber, whether or not he wins. In order to continue this momentum, that is the prime spot for him. There are 6 spaces. You couldn't fit Finn Balor into one of them? Why, because he's not over, Vince? Clearly he's over. I know you couldn't really tell from that crowd tonight. What the hell happened to Philly tonight? What happened to Philly tonight? Obviously, the hardcore, real deal, smart wrestling fans spent all their money on the Royal Rumble ticket and didn't have enough money to show up for Raw. Because I don't know what the hell happened 24 hours from last night to tonight. That Finn Balor-John Cena match, the crowd that was there last night would have been all over Cena all night long. Now, I know something weird was going on in the crowd. And it seemed to take Cena off his game. It seemed to really piss him off somehow. I don't know if it was a beach ball again or something, but something was going on in the crowd. Cena was obviously attending to it. They actually took a weird commercial break right after that commotion happened, almost as if to address the crowd and tell them to knock it off and pay attention. This is a qualifying match. This is WrestleMania implications. I don't know what was said, if anything at all. But that was a weird spot for a commercial break. I just happened to notice that. And throughout the rest of the match, Cena kept looking at the crowd like, you guys, what's wrong with you? I don't know. It was just kind of awkward. The whole match just felt weird. And then he would take Finn Balor to the top rope and deliver a Super AA. Super AA. Little overkill, I think. Finn Balor loses this match. John Cena doesn't need to be in the Elimination Chamber. Finn Balor does. Why? What are you going to do with Finn Balor? Going to put him up against The Miz? Mr. Raj versus Balor Club? Is that where you're going? I guess I'd be alright with that. As long as Finn Balor comes out with the belt. But Finn Balor just seems to keep coming out on the short end of the stick lately, doesn't he? They bring him up a little bit and then they knock him down. They bring him back up a little bit and they knock him down. Give him the number 2 spot in the Royal Rumble. Let him go 57 minutes and 38 seconds. And then you treat him like a chump. Feed him to John Cena. Buried. The king of the shovels. Brought out a demon-sized shovel tonight. Put Finn Balor right back in that hole. Where he wants him. That was Monday night. That was this Monday Night Raw's review from start to finish. Obviously, I'm going to go out and I'll give this show a C. Maybe a 3-star show. It wasn't fantastic by any means. We had a couple of quality matchups. But the timing of those matchups are in question. All in all, the road to WrestleMania begins with a few bumps already. We're going to have to wait and see. Tomorrow night is SmackDown Live. And they are going to begin the build to what could be the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. But I've been thinking about this. And I actually have a story that I'm working on. And I'm going to bring it to you guys sometime this week. Because I'm a little bit nervous. And I don't think AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura is going to be anything near what we expect. And we are going to talk about that. So keep your eyes open for that episode coming up this weekend. As for tomorrow night, we will be here to cover everything that they do and every single mistake they make. Hopefully they make none on tomorrow night's SmackDown Live. Everything else we put up on this channel, the Royal Rumble week was fantastic. We put so much content up. If you missed it or are you new to the channel and you subscribe tonight, there's tons of great Royal Rumble stuff for you to watch. The review, the preview, my top 5 most wanted Women's Royal Rumble entries that definitely didn't happen. They were the ones we did get. Let's not go back there. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that this weekend as well. Also, my top 5 Raw moments in celebration of Raw 25. All kinds of stuff on the channel. Go check it all out. I will have some linked in the annotations right here. Right next to Anthony Gangone's mask. You'll see this little eye thing. Click it. See if there's something else you like. I'm tired. It's late. We got to get to work tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for joining me My name is Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone. Do not forget to smash that thumbs up. Share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel right now. Check out Clutch Shares down in the description below. He's the World Heavyweight Champion of Microphones. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Only on YouTube.com. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you tomorrow night for SmackDown Live. AJ versus Shinsuke. Almost couldn't get that out. Begins.